Andretti Autosport, after getting its Formula One entry bid rejected, have now called for help from the United States Congress to convince the Formula One management to let them in. So what exactly did the Congress members have said in the letter to the F1 management, and will this change the decision of the organization and let Andretti take part in F1 from 2026 season? Let's check it out. Now, as we all know, Michael Andretti has proposed his entry bid to FIA and Formula One a while back. This proposal was accepted by the FIA, and we all thought that Andretti Autosport was all set for its debut in the F1 world. However, things took a drastic turn for them. In January, Formula One Management, FOM, the holder of the commercial rights for Grand Prix racing, turned down Andretti Autosport's proposal to join the F1 starting grid in 2025. This rejection came even though the FIA, the governing body of the championship, had approved Andretti's technical capabilities the previous October. So for those of you who are new to the Formula One world, there are two entities that control F1 racing. First is the FIA, or Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, which is the authority for almost all motorsports. FIA is responsible for writing the rules, technical regulations, sporting regulations, and managing the Grand Prix's technical aspect. They also hold the commercial rights for Formula One. Now those commercial rights are currently leased to Liberty Media, allowing them to control how the sport is presented and showcased to the entire world. This lease includes broadcasting rights and sponsorships as well. So basically every sponsor banner, every promotional F1 event, or you can say the Las Vegas event, were all organized under the control of Formula One management, which is run by Liberty Media. So what does this have to do with Andretti's bid rejection? Hold your horses, it will all connect in just a minute. Now you see, FOM is a publicly traded company based in the United States, including Liberty Media Corporation, who is owned by American billionaire John Carl Malone. Although the majority of the F1 teams are based in Europe, and the sports governing body FIA based out of Paris, the commercial rights owners are based in the United States, so therefore must operate under the US government law. So you see now, this is the reason why Andretti has called for help from the US government to get his F1 bid accepted by FOM and Liberty Media. FOM in its statement have stated, "Our assessment process has established that the presence of an 11th team would not, on its own, provide value to the championship. The most significant way in which a new entrant would bring value is by being competitive. We do not believe that the applicant would be a competitive participant." But that statement in some people's eyes is kind of conflicting. Andretti Autosport is a US-based team, with US manufacturer GM and backing of the FIA. At this time, F1's craze in the United States has been increasing rapidly, and with new races in Las Vegas, Miami, Formula One have shown that there is great benefit in expanding the sport to the States. However, this rejection of a US-based team is kind of problematic, as it implies that FOM wants to race in the US but doesn't want any team from the US. What Formula One management, FOM, publicly stated, and their true feelings may be very different. In the lead up to the decision not to allow Andretti entry, the 10 current teams who have tremendous influence over FOM's operations strongly oppose splitting their earnings with another team. They argued that the $200 million Andretti would pay as an anti-dilution fee to offset the reduced earnings per team was inadequate. This anti-dilution fee is part of the Concorde agreement, the contract governing Formula One's financial terms between Liberty Media and the current teams. The current agreement is the 8th iteration, lasting until the end of 2025. The 10 teams wanted the anti-dilution fee raised to $600 million. So by delaying Andretti's entry until 2026, they could charge an extra $400 million for the privilege of joining Formula One. However, recent reports indicate the new Concorde agreement may cap teams at 10, blocking Andretti for good. Michael Andretti knows that there is a great possibility of this happening, so now he has taken the step and reached out to the US Congress to sort this issue out before the new Concorde agreement is reached. Mario Andretti, 1978 F1 world champion, recently had a meeting with US Congress members at the Capitol Hill. In this meeting, he met with the Republican John James to come out with a possible solution. Now you might ask, what could the US Congress members do? They can't tell how Formula One should be running its sport and what teams to sign or reject? Well, you are right and wrong at the same time, my friend. Now, it is correct that the US government can't tell F1 on how to run and who to get involved with, but they will be involved if the laws are broken by the FOM. Andretti and the U.S. Congress members invoked the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 and have questioned the rationale behind rejecting Andretti's bid. They have questioned whether the rules are designed in such a way to unfairly protect the European teams from competition in the U.S. A letter was written to Liberty Media boss Greg Maffei by the 12 U.S. Congress members, including John James, who represents a district in Michigan. In the letter, they said that they write to express our concerns with apparent anti-competitive actions that could prevent two American companies, Andretti Global and General Motors, GM, from producing and competing in Formula One. Now, General Motors, or GM, runs the Cadillac company, which has partnered with Andretti Global as their power unit supplier for their Formula One entry bid. GM is based in Michigan, the state which is represented by John James. So basically, F1's rejection of Andretti and GM's entry directly affects the business and people working whom John James represents. Now, what is the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890? It is an antitrust law which lays out the rules of free competition among those engaged in commerce. The Sherman Act broadly prohibits anti-competitive agreements and unilateral conduct that monopolizes or attempts to monopolize the relevant market. FOM, by rejecting a US-based team's entry in a way, implied that the European teams and the Formula One management are monopolizing F1 and closing itself off to any competitors from outside Europe. The letter further alleged that FOM's rejection of the application appears to be driven by the current lineup of European Formula One race teams, many of which are affiliated with foreign automobile manufacturers that directly compete with American automotive companies like GM. It is unfair and wrong to attempt to block American companies from joining Formula One, which could also violate American antitrust laws. Participation of all Formula One teams, including any American teams, should be based on merit and not just limited to protecting the current lineup of race teams. This is especially true considering Formula One's growing presence in the United States, including 3 Grand Prix motor racing events in Miami, Florida, Austin, Texas, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Currently, if you look at the teams on the F1 grid, almost all teams have European car manufacturers: Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Alpine, McLaren, and Audi entering in 2026. Formula One is a motorsport, but beyond that, it is a perfect advertising billboard for these auto companies to showcase their brand to the world. So if they get the American team involved in the sport, the current teams will be sharing this advertising space with that 11th team, which is what they don't want to do. John James went as far as accusing the F1 owners of engaging in cartel-like behavior. So the question is, did FOM and the current 10 teams deny entry to the possibility of 11th team because they don't want to create competition for their car manufacturer company, thereby monopolizing the Formula One sport, or is it just a coincidence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, why not smash that like button? Hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon to never miss another upload from us. See you in the next video.